Last but not least, on the board, I wrote the word seal, which means conclusion.
These, I really need to buy a pack of extra markers as my Siddaka and Fair Warrior because these markers are not good.
I know.
They're really bad. Really important question before we get the class going.
Seal.
What
Yes.
has been your favorite class to teach Hawaiian to us?
You answered your question.
Yeah, but why?
Why did you even ask the first part?
Because, like, you know, to make it seem like you have a choice in the response, but we all know the response is us. And it's okay to have wrong opinions.
I'll try to answer that a little later.
All right.
The word seal, which means conclusion at the end, is the end of the year, finale of all our classes, the very last day. It's interesting to note, by the way, that when the Rebbe spoke to the girls, high school girls in Beis Rivka, most of the talks were on Tuesday. And the Rebbe had a whole lesson, what we learned from Tuesday. So I have the luck to be teaching the very last day, not the last class, but the very last day of the school year. And I'm going to share with you some of the points. I made copies, some of the points of the Sikha. Rebbe discusses also in one of the Sikhas about women's rights, what a real feminist should be like, not the way it's portrayed nowadays, with trying to emulate the male, circles. That's not showing, be proud of being a woman. Anyways, get there a little later. But the word siyum, it's interesting. How do you spell the word siyum? Spell it with 4 letters: samach, yud, vav, and mem. What do these 4 letters have in common? And the answer is, if you spell out a samach, mem, chav, samach equals 60, but so does the mem and the chav, also equals 60. In other words, the inside, the internal part of the letter, what's inside the letter, what fills the letter, equals what you see on the outside. In other words, you're the same on the outside. Your outside reflects what's going on inside you. Something has penetrated and permeated you through and through. At the end of the year, we hope that what we learned and what we achieved throughout the year should not just bounce off us, but to be absorbed and remain with us forever. To the extent that we become mashpiyim, as we'll talk about the menorah in a minute, and shed light to other people, and not be suffice with ourselves, be happy with what are content with our own, achievements, but rather to share it. And to share it in such a way where the person whom you are having an impact on becomes, in return, a teacher, a mashpia, and it keeps on going ad infinitum. Oh. So you look at the other letters. You have a yud, and you have a vav, and you have a mem. How do you spell? Yud is 10. How do you spell yud? Yud, vav, dalet. What's the numerical value of a vav and a dalet? 6 plus 4 equals 10. So the inside of the yud and the surface, the outside of the yud, are equal. And the mem, or the vav, I should say, the vav is spelled vav, vav. So the inside and the outside, the letter and what it fills the letter have the same numerical value. And the same is true with the mem. How do you spell mem? Mem, mem. So the beginning, the letter, the surface, what you see on the outside, and when you pronounce that letter, then you hear the other mem. So from all these 4 letters, what we conclude is that a successful year is where you feel that you've absorbed and integrated, became part of your system. It's no longer flashy and flaky. Yeah, remember this, remember that, some kind of interesting things that might have happened. But what we've learned has become part of us. It says by Matan Torah that there was a tremendous voice, very powerful voice, Koil Gadol, never ending, reverberates even today, but it had no echo. You ever learn that, Sivan? It had no echo. On the contrary, that shows that the voice must have been very weak. Echoes, the stronger, the louder the voice, the louder the echo. Why is it by Mountain Torah there was no echo? And why does that demonstrate how powerful the voice is? If anything, it demonstrates how weak the voice is. What's the Rebbe's answer? What creates an echo? Or chozeh. When it rebounds off a certain surface, so that's what causes the sound, the baskol, the echo. By Matan Torah, nothing rebounded. God's word was so permeating that it went right into whoever was listening. There were no walls blocking. It went in, and if the sound, vibration enters, goes through, you won't hear a baskol, you won't hear an echo. In other words, the experience of Torah is that it should remain with us. It should penetrate and permeate and stay with us. That's that's what it's all about. I wanted to share with you before we bring a little bit. I wanted to share with you something about the menorah, something interesting. There's a pasuk in Tehillim. It's the long one, very longest kapitel, longest chapter in Tehillim, 119. So there's 176 verses, 176 psukim. By the way, the same amount of psukim we had in last week's parsha, the longest parsha in the Chumash, longest single parsha in the Chumash, 176, and the longest Masechta in Gemara, the longest tractate in Talmud is 176 pages too, full 176. What's the significance of 176? It's 8 times 22. What's the significance of 8 times 22? Well, 22 are the letters of the alphabet, which Hashem created the world with, and 8 represents that which transcends those letters. 8 represents higher than time, Mashiach. So within the intestines of creation that were put into order through the 22 letters, we have the 8, introducing that which transcends time and space. And it's interesting that in Parshas Naso, raise yourself up, raise, lift, has that amount of sukkim. Now, what I want to share with you is that there's a very interesting pasuk in chapter 119. It's pasuk 130, Kaf Lamed. Pesach dvarecha yair, mevin pesoyim. Your opening words illuminate, radiate light, so much so that even fools can understand. What is that supposed to mean? So one of the commentators says that it refers to the beginning of all the chumashim. There are 5 chumashim. So you'll see that the amount of words that are in every single chumash, the very first pasuk of every single chumash, has something to do with the menorah, which is the source of light. Pesach dvarecha, the opening words of your 5 chumashim, the opening verse, reflects something about the menorah. Let's see how that works. Rashis, bara, lakim, eis hashamayim, ve'eis ha'aretz. How many words are there? 7. That corresponds to the 7 branches of the menorah. There are 7 branches. And by the way, just off the subject a little bit, 7 branches, 3 on 3, and then 1 in the middle of the 6 days of the week that are facing Shabbos. Shabbos should be the center of your life, not one of the days you want to pass by fast, so I can go to enjoy my Mitzvah Shabbos, enjoy my Saturday night, going out. People today, if you don't go out Saturday night, you're sitting at home, there's something wrong with you. That's not how you celebrate a weekend. You're supposed to go out. I'm not going to say where, but you go out. And Torah teaches us on Mitzvah Shabbos, you stay in and we tell stories. We enjoy, we take the Shabbos experience and start, making it part of ourselves. So, I was going to bring the real mashke. I'm very, very tired today. Someone has to wake me up. So listen to this. So we have the 7 words in Bereshis. Bereshis, Bar Elokim, Eis Hashemayim V'Haaretz, 7 words, 7 branches of the menorah. Shmos has 11 words. Eila Shmos B'nai Yisrael Aboim Mitzrayim Es Yaakov Ishu V'Sebo, 11 words, corresponding to the 11 kaftorim, the 11 spheres, round spheres that look like buttons. Oh, by the way, going back to Bereshis, how is Bereshis connected to 7? Well, that's very simple. The very beginning of Bereshis talks about the 7 days of the week. So it makes sense that Bereshis should have to do with 7. Shmos has to do with 11. And kaftorim are buttons. Why? Well, first of all, there are 11 parshas. There are 11 sedras in Shmos. The only chumash that has 11, not 10 and not 12, is Chumash Shmos. And what happened in Chumash Shmos? In the middle, Matan Torah. What's the whole purpose of Torah? To button up, to connect the spiritual with the physical. What's a button for? To close, to attach 2 things. That's the round sphere represents a button, which is a highlight of Chumash Shmos, which is Matan Torah. And it's 11. 11 is the amount of Parsha Sedras that we have in Chumash Shmos. Vayikra. Vayikra has 9 words. Vayikra el Moshe, Vayidaber Hashem Elo, Ma'el Moed Lemar. Vayikra el Moshe, Vayidaber Elo, Ma'el Moed Lemar. 9 words. There were 9 flowers. The word in Hebrew for flowers is perach. But perach means a flower, but it could also mean something else. How do you say to fly? Huh? Perach. In Aramaic, we have it also in Tanya, that when you daven with love and the fear, those are 2 wings that raise you up, that take all your Torah learning and all the good things you do, and it ascends to Shemayim. So tefillah, which is in the place of karbonos, which is all about Vayikra. Vayikra is all about karbonos. What's our modern day karbonos? What's the equivalent of a carbon today? Davening. What's davening all about? Love and fear. Loving Hashem, fearing Hashem. There are psukim that express love, and there are psukim that express fear of God. They are the causes of perach, of flying. So therefore, how many prachim were there on the menorah? The same amount of prachim as the first verse in Vayikra, which is 9 words. Bamidbar is 17. 17. Very long pasuk. I can't remember. So 17 words. What is 17? 17 is the gematria of the word tov. And we know that tov, goodness, and light are synonymous. Vayara Elokim Esaor Ki Tov. Moshe Rabbeinu, one of his names was Tuvia. Why was he called Tuvia? Because when he was born, his mother saw how his face lit up the whole room. So Tov is something that's complete, that brings light. Light and goodness in the word in Hebrew, the word Tov and Or are synonymous. What does that represent? Which part of the menorah is that? The light of the menorah, not the candles, not the branches themselves, but the light, the Or of the menorah is hinted in the word Tov, which is the gematria of 17. And the first verse in Bamidbar is 17. Devarim, 22. The first pasuk in Devarim has 22 letters, 22 words. Very long, 22 words, 22 goblets. There were 22 goblets, the bechers. But they were inverted. If you look at the Rambams, you'll see that the goblets were not right side up, were upside down, facing downward, as if you want to spill it out. When you drink, you hold the cup like this. You want to spill something out, pour out, you hold the cup. I can't do that now. There's water in here. And you turn it up. So when you want to take things for yourself, and you want to drink, take in as a makabel, you hold the cup like this. When you want to pour for someone else, to give, to be a mashpia, the cup is held upside down. The menorah is all about shedding light to the outside. As you learned in yesterday's class, I think you did at least. You learned Chelik Aleph, I don't know if you did or not, when you had a brain. But in
We learned.
you learned.
We learned good things. I really enjoyed it.
No, of course, it's not the same. But so again, 22 goblets that were all facing downward represents Chumash Devarim. Why Chumash Devarim? Because Chumash Devarim is the first Chumash where Moshe Rabbeinu was now not hearing from God. Now he's becoming the Mashpia. He's transmitting to the Jewish people. Now Moshe is pouring the glass out upside down. He's not drinking from Hashem, but rather giving over to the Jewish people. So you have 22 words corresponding to the 22 goblets which were inverted. So that explains what the Pasuk in Tehillim says. Pesach Dvarecha, the beginning of all your Chumashim, represents something about the menorah, which is the source of light. Now, what's very important is to know that, this you probably learned yesterday, that the candles have to be lit and able to stand on their own. That means that when we leave, I don't know what you'll be doing, what you're going to be doing in the summer or next year or the years after, whoever's staying, some are staying, some are not. What are you doing in the summer? I don't want whatever you should also not want, whatever you absorbed throughout the year in Kedusha and holiness should be self-sustained. You shouldn't need the teacher again. You shouldn't need to hear, it should be part of you that you have enough to give over to other people and, affect others, influence others, and inject in other people a chayis in their Yiddishkeit. Candle is also made from, you have a candle holder, you have the wick, you have the oil, you have the flame. Flame is the flame of the neshama. Oil, of course, of the Torah learning, the mitzvahs that we do. The wick is the body, which holds everything we do is in action. You want to have all that you accumulate contained. There have to be containers. You have to not just let it fly, over you, and it has to sit well. It has to be self-contained. Otherwise, it just evaporates and disappears. So that's what I wanted to share with you in the beginning. Now, yes, of course. Today, you guys have any question you want?
What is sequel?
What
do you mean sequel?
Well, first of all, to understand, Lavin, but it should become not like Lavin, to live, to sense it, feel it in the heart, and it should affect your everyday life. Should affect what you do, even when you're not in the school, even when you're out there with your friends and hanging around at night, some of the stores here. And it's not exactly a Torah atmosphere. So even then, what you learn here should rub off over there too. And you shouldn't need to have constant, shiurim to keep you going. And it's good to have constant shiurim, but you should be a fire that's already, the flame is arising on its own. It's a rising flame. You're rising continuously. Sign of life. So here's the sikha. I mean, I'll do just part of it, certain parts of it, but I want to just, I have no idea what I'm going to do today. I really didn't prepare anything special, but there's a sikha here, which is what the Rebbe spoke to the girls. I don't know if it's in English or not. Maybe it is. It was also Parshas Baloscha. It was also on a Tuesday. It wasn't the 15th of Sivan, but the 17th of Sivan. What happened on the 15th of Sivan? Anyone know? Many years ago. Makara, what happened on the 15th of Sivan in 1927?
The Free Rebbe was continued.
Right. And so it's not a good thing. It sounds like it's a downer.
But actually, we talked about it in this class, but actually it was a good thing because it's like the whole muscle with like the surgeon and how you like walk into the surgery, you think it's actually a bad thing, but they're really like.
I don't think you're going to celebrate the day you went into surgery. Yeah, I hear that, but we don't. Gimel Tammuz was also the beginning of the Geula. That we do celebrate. Gimel Tammuz is when he was set free, but he wasn't free to go home. So that became, in retrospect, a stage in his Geula. But to say that we celebrate Tezvav Sivan, that's when he went to jail. Yeah, it took. He suffered a lot, and he became paralyzed as a result of this. And Friedrich Rebbe suffered tremendously from this, physically and spiritually. And a death penalty against him. But his sharpness, his It was just incredible what he withstood. But to say it's a day of joy, even retroactively, to say it's a day of celebration, is far from that. I just want to read from you something interesting. There's a book here. While we're at it, you probably saw this book, The Heroic Struggle. There's a prince in prison and a heroic struggle. The previous Rebbe writes every detail of what he experienced in jail. So I want to read something here. Just a short thing here. You had to sign in, and you're interrogated, you're asked questions, you have to answer them. It's no joke. Listen to this. Do you forget where you are, or is your mind confused? You mean to institute new procedures in this department? What is your name? I know, so that's them interrogating him. I know very well that I'm a prisoner brought to Sperlerica, and my mind, thank God, is in good order. I do not seek to institute new procedures. My name is Schneerson. I live at 22 Makavaya Street, apartment 12. I will not write any answers to the questionnaire. You can enter the information just given. The secretary took the form, entered the facts given, and then continued. What is your title? I am an honor for generations citizen. That title no longer exists. I do not know if it does exist or it doesn't exist, but my title is honored for generations citizen, whether you like it or not. What is your vocation? I'm involved in studies, the study of the knowledge of godliness, known as Hasidus, and the study of Jewish law and its observance in accordance with the Jewish religion. Religion? Godly knowledge? Yes. The knowledge of godliness. One God has created and formed all existence, and his divine providence extends over all creations. The crawling creatures in the sea, and the small creatures in the desert wasteland, and mankind in civilized society. How can I possibly write such answers on the questionnaire? So the Frierdiker Rebbe answers back, who compels you to write? As far as I'm concerned, you need not write anything. If you want to write, write. If you don't want to write, don't write. He made a laughingstock out of them. He mamish laughed at them. And to have the guns right around you, these monsters with guns at his head, and to sit calmly and not like phase one drop, one bit. This gun, if you know the famous story of this gun, they say this toy can make people speak. He said, yeah, it makes people who have one world to live in and many gods. I have one God and another world to live in. I'm not scared of that toy. No, at his head, you can just imagine. What does he hear? Someone's just shot. They're killing people right, left, and center. They're executing. And he hears those shots. He hears people screaming. He stays calm. And he said, I made a resolution that I will not allow them in my mind to have any level of existence. I will talk in Yiddish. They don't understand, it's not my problem. I will talk Yiddish. You don't understand, get a translator. When he was in prison at the end, he had his tefillin on. And it's on Shabbos, not his tefillin, it was on, his talis. On Shabbos, they want to take a picture of him. So she's about to take a picture, he goes like that. Get out. And they go out. They leave. Why should they leave? The whole reason why he's in prison is because of his religion. And he's wearing a talis and he just. And it says they got scared. They were struck with awe when they went with that. Both, because his face was like, previous Rebbe davening wasn't a Sam davening. It was a fire, like an angel. People say when they saw the previous Rebbe in the street, what do you say? He looks like an angel from God. He doesn't look human. He had a tremendous photogenic. The previous Rebbe looked almost like a malach, an angelic look. My father actually experienced the previous Rebbe. Father had yeshidus with the previous Rebbe. My father was sent amongst a group of Bufferin from America. My father was American born, Brooklyn born. He was one of the 6 boys. Later on, it became 9 boys and 1 woman, married couple, who traveled to Płock, which is Poland, to build a yeshiva there, but the Nazis already are bombing. And my father was, I think, the oldest or second to the oldest of the whole group. And the previous Rebbe called the Bufferin in. We were scared of the bombs being thrown, like today, but it was much scarier than it is today in Ukraine. Hitler was a wild madman. Sugar, monster, crazy person. And he was taking over right, left, and center. They were scared. My father imitates the previous Rebbe's voice. Jeder Bombe hat sein Adress. Nicht eingenommen, gefühlt sich auf the Bombe. In Yiddish. In English, every bomb has its address, where it's headed. You're not on the list. What he said to the bomb. But it's abnormal for a person, human being, is to not have, to stand the strength of not becoming, not just not bending, but just calm, soft and calm, and just, he ridiculed them. You know where you are? Yeah, I'm in a place where you can't put a mezuzah up. That's where I am. That's putter from a mezuzah, we told him. Like a stable. That's where I am. He actually called them names. They hit him. Didn't bother. Two Jews threw him down a whole flight of stairs. Suffered tremendously. Tremendous suffering. So this book has the whole story. It's good to read this book. What? It's there also, yeah. This is in English. Heroic struggle. You read English?
I can, but.
It's easier in Hebrew, I know. It's in Hebrew too. The heroic struggle, I mean, the Diburim, we have the whole thing in Hebrew also, the whole story. But this is in English, and it's must read. It's just incredible what he went through. And how he's so artistic, every little detail, whole drop to drop, he says over. Doesn't forget one single detail. Anyways, just to cover a few of these pages. You want to pass this over? Pass it down. So I'll tell you a story. I think I told the story before we start. Story related to the previous Rebbe. Tell me if you heard the story. I'm sure I might have told it already. Earlier in the year, I think I did. On Yeshvat, it's close to Yeshvat, I probably told the story. But in case there are a few who haven't heard it, I'll say it again. This story I heard directly from the person who it happened to. It's a woman who lived in Morristown, New Jersey at the time when I was living. She now moved to Israel. Her name is Shifra Chana, just to be, so the story to tell you with names. Shifra Chana was her name. Sandra, I think, was her English name. Shifra Chana, her last name was Hendry. At the age of 19, she was working in a Chabad house in Minnesota, working for Rabbi Feller.
I get emails from her.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Really?
I knew it. She has like, Gate of Unity. She has like a whole thing.
Really? Not a small world. So the story goes, tremendous story. She was not religious at all. In fact, she was so out of touch with religion, it was not funny. It was a hard nut to crack. She had nothing fazed her, nothing excited her. It was so boring to her, Judaism, but she just worked there with a job. She enjoyed working there, it's nice, but Yiddishkeit, forget about it. There was a speaker, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Hecht. This is Rabbi J.J. Hecht, older brother. He was a phenomenal speaker. He was like the top speaker in Chabad. Probably one of the greatest speakers in America, pulpit rabbi speaker. The older brother of Rabbi J.J. Hecht. And he was called for praying to have it was a Shabbaton. He was called to. This was during the time of the Yud time, I think, in 1977 or 1979. That's the year he passed away, by the way. This was his last public Farbrengen, Shabbaton that he was. And they begged his Shifra Chana, please. You gotta stay. He's the greatest speaker. You haven't heard a good speaker before. You please. One more Shabbos, one more weekend. I want to go out with my friends. That's it. Friday night is my night. I don't want to stay here. They begged and pleaded, and she couldn't, she couldn't fight off their pleadings. So she gave in. She succumbed to their request. She stayed reluctantly, very reluctantly. She's there. he's bored from all the whatever's going on. Finally, the highlight of the whole weekend was Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Hettis from Brangen, Shalosh Shuddis, at the end of the Shabbos. Large crowd of people came from all over the whole city. And she's sitting there. She's sitting there. Oh, this is the best part. Yeah, sure. And he starts saying the following. He says, he took some mashke. He's not the kind of guy to take mashke and drink. Took a heavy dose of alcohol. And he started saying the following. I want to share with you my last private audience that I had with the previous Rebbe in 1946. This is 1979. He's telling over what happened in 1946, right after the Holocaust. He says, I have a balabas, one of my followers, American rabbi, modern Orthodox rabbi, whose name is Rabbi Broida. And this rabbi, was involved in, he was a butcher, I think he was a butcher, or it was something to do with that field. But he also was a very big in trying to help out people who were devastated through the Holocaust. He would travel, make his travelings to all these areas in Europe, and he was a very rich man. He was very well affluent, and he wanted to rebuild. And he had this hobby of trying to rebuild the ruins of the Holocaust. That's what he would do on his spare time. One of his trips, I think it was France, on his way to somewhere else, he meets a boy, a 9-year-old kid, who lost his whole family in front of his eyes. His parents were shot in front of him. The kid somehow survived, moved on to France, and hears about an American rabbi. And this kid is aware of the previous Rebbe who lives in America, in New York. And he asked Rabbi Broida, are you from America, I heard? Yes, I am. Do you know the Lubavitcher Rebbe? That was the previous Rebbe. I've heard of him. Can you take me there? I want to see him. He was so impressed. He was so like, wow. This kid has just lost his whole family, and he's not asking for anything but to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Who is this Lubavitcher Rebbe already? I heard of him, but he must be, to touch this child, I want to go see it myself. So he asked his Rabbi Hecht, arrange for me a yechidus, a private audience, so I could have that schus of seeing the previous Rebbe. Oh, late.
I was on.
I'm not gonna take attendance. Who's writing? What are you writing? You're writing something down? Want to know. I told the story before?
Yeah.
Oh. Let's finish the story. So he's telling the story and says, I went into Yechidus, so Rabbi Hecht saying, after my balabas entered Yechidus. And the Rebbe tells me what had transpired in Rabbi Broider's Yechidus, which is unusual. It's confidential. Yechidus is confidential, And what happened? What exactly happened when he was in Yechidus, Rabbi Broider? The previous Rebbe asked him about what he does, and he started talking about all the different places he visits and what he saw there and the graphic horrors that he saw, terrible things that he saw. And the previous Rebbe started crying. He wasn't well. He couldn't even talk, couldn't understand it. He needed an interpreter, by the way. He couldn't understand the previous Rebbe. The only one who really understood the Rebbe was the previous Rebbe was the Rebbe. In fact, I heard a recording of the Rebbe, just heard a recording a few years ago of the Rebbe talking to the previous Rebbe. It's an amazing recording. The Rebbe was asking questions. Did you mean this? It's hard to make out what they're saying, but if you listen very carefully and you know Yiddish, you can make out. Anyways, the previous Rebbe was very not well, and when he heard this, he started getting, and then this Rabbi Broider wanted to stop. Doesn't want to hurt him. So he told him, no, tell me more. Started telling him more, started crying again. He sees that this is a Rebbe, this is not just a rabbi, person who is taking in all the tzaras of Klal Yisrael, like the head of the Jewish people. This is a leader. And when he saw that, he said, can I ask the Rebbe something? Shook his head. And then Rabbi Breuder started to break down. Rebbe, my family, I have children, but they're not going on the right pathway. They're off completely. They're not religious. Rebbe, please bless me. What did the Rebbe respond? How did he respond? Your grandchild will come back. And what kind of consolation is that? My children won't? You ask about your children. So Rabbi Heft says, and the previous Rebbe repeated that. The Rebbe said to me, you know what I said to him when he asked me about his children? I said, your grandchild will come back. I don't know why in the world he confided with me. Why did he tell me what he told him? And what kind of answer is that? I will never know, perhaps. And I don't even know why I'm sharing that with you people here. Something is pushing me to say this. As he's saying that, this girl, Shifra Chana, starts bawling, crying like a baby. She says, I know why. Rabbi Breuder is my grandfather. I am the grandchild the previous Rebbe probably meant. I was predestined that I will be present at this, which I didn't want to be. Something forced me to be here. And now I see the incredible foresight of your Rebbe, how he foresaw that in 1979 there'll be a girl who will have to hear a rabbi who was in Yechidus to hear what the Rebbe said about the previous man. She broke down completely and it melted her completely. She is now in Eretz Yisrael. There's a different version of the story. This is how I understood it. Some details I might have missed out here and there, maybe a little bit off. She did have a brother who was also somewhat frum, but he didn't have no effect on her. Her grandfather was her only source of Judaism that she had. When he passed on, it was over. I don't know which year he passed away, but Rabbi Hecht passed away that same year. So this was he was meant to say this. He actually aroused a young girl's neshama. Mamish saved her. The problem is her children are not religious. I happen to know them, but they're not at all. So it was just her, and she's very, very active. I know she's active. She's a fire powerhouse. Lives in Israel. You know where she lives?
Nope.
That was one story. You know the other story I probably told? Again, this is to do also with women. One of these girl Rebbe for brain for the graduates of Beis Rivka. So a Chabad lady was there at the talk of the Rebbe. Walked outside. I think I told the story recently. I'll tell it again. Walked outside, and she happened to notice a teenager girl walking the street. Didn't dress Jewish at all. You tell she wasn't, and didn't even look too Jewish, but took a chance. Ma'am, young lady, excuse me, are you Jewish? Yeah. Come. And she practically pulled her. Come, you got it. She pulled her into 770. This girl had no idea what's going on. She was like overwhelmed with, whoa, what do you want from me? She's there and she's bored, but she doesn't understand a word of Yiddish, and she's not the kind of girl who really wants to hear any rabbi talk. After the half an hour talk of the Rebbe, she finally wants to leave, and this Rebbetzin over there says, wait a second, before you leave, you can actually talk to the Rebbe. You can actually ask him something. Do you want to do that? And she said, yeah, I think I want to tell him something. This Lubavitcher lady had no idea what she was going to tell the Rebbe. Because if she would, I don't know if she would allow her. She goes over to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe looks and gives us, how can I help you? What do you want? And she said, I want to tell you, Rabbi, I don't believe in rabbis. I don't believe in the Torah. I don't believe in Judaism. Oh. The Rebbe is smiling. So the Rebbe says, well, why did you come here? I came here to tell you off. I get to tell you that I think you're doing a disservice to all your story. To your followers, I think you're brainwashing them. And I think it's so wrong to brainwash people. Let people think for themselves. So the Rebbe says to her, okay, is that really why you came? That's the only reason? No. I really didn't come. I wasn't supposed to come here. I didn't want to come here. I was forced. The Rebbe smiled at her. I said, wait a second. You just so eloquently told me that people have to have free choice. Why did you let yourself be pushed in? So she saw the Rebbe's wins that case. You're right. So the Rebbe said, no. I'm happy you're here. I just wanted to understand where you're coming from. Is there anything you want to know? And she said, yes, I might want to know what to do. My parents want me to do this. I would like to get involved in something else. Somewhere in South Asia, somewhere in Yehokovitz. What should I do, Rabbi? What do you think is the best thing for me to do? So she was overwhelmed by the Rebbe's politeness. Black cat, these are supposed to be mean people, look at you and frown and bark. And he was smiling, so soft and so understanding. So she began to melt a little bit. She started asking the Rebbe, what should she do? And the Rebbe said, these are both very important things, but I want to let you know, what's most important for you is to find out what it means to be Jewish, and what it means to be a Jewish young lady. Okay. And then she walked away mesmerized by, it's so nice, like it's not normal. Since when are black hats rabbis nice? Anyways, make a long story short, she was told that the best place for her to be would be in Beis Chana in Minnesota. I told the story on Friday night, you were there, Malcolm. She asked the Rebbe, she got a yechidus. Not long after, she was able to get a yechidus. Those days it was possible in the 60s. And the Rebbe was asked the Rebbe, what should I do? Should I go to Beis Chana? What do you think? It's a good idea or not? The Rebbe started laughing, literally laughing. He said, you're asking me? I'm biased. You can't ask a person like me. You have to ask a more neutral person. No, I only want your opinion. After apologizing to the Rebbe, how she was so chutzpahdik. So the Rebbe said, well, if you're asking me, I think it would be a great idea, and I think it would be the best move you can make in your life. And the rest is history. Grandmother of Shluchim. So what we learn from the story is three things. When you see something, say something. Don't let someone walk in the street. If you have any doubts this person might be Jewish, what's the worst comes to worst? If the person is not Jewish, just be frelach. So you give the person a warm, response. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Or you can tell them about the 7 no-ide laws. No harm done. But if that person is Jewish, you really gained a lot. And I will tell you a personal thing. I told the story over once before, I think, in my house on Shabbos meal. I'll tell it again. I was walking in the street and I see a bunch of boys that don't even look Jewish, but I know they probably are. And not only are they Jewish, they're from Chabad families, unfortunately. And they have all kinds of mamish earrings and who knows what else. And I think you guys had tattoos already on them. About yarmulke and tzitzis, and they're really off, probably on a little high as well. And I went over to one and I said, Shalom Aleichem. I didn't have any question whether they're Jewish or not. Shalom Aleichem. Yeah, hi, Rabbi. I live right here on this block, President Street. How about coming to my house tonight? What's your name? Shalom Bear. What's your name? Menachem Mendel. What's your name? Shneir Zalman. Come to my house. No, I didn't think they'd take my offer, which is why I felt comfortable inviting them. I was surprised. They didn't look like it in there. Yeah, sure. Not only did they take my offer, they brought another 5 guys with them. So I had 8 guys coming to my house, coming in, and they didn't come in as like a refined bunch of. So it's tough. People had their phones with them, and I said, "Let's start a naked." My wife was upstairs already. It's the end of the meal. They started singing. And she said, wait, this can't be, this must be a different group. They sounded exactly like the Buffering who were in the program. They sounded completely different than they behaved. They were into the nigunim, they were mamish into it. You could see they were serious. They weren't playing games. And one guy tells me, Rabbi, you don't know what you did. We were heading somewhere else. I don't want to say where, to have some fun, where, you can figure out what we mean, but we're not doing that. This meal, this whole atmosphere, this whole singing, we're gonna postpone that. That they might not hear that. So you never know, just asking someone, you have to be candid, you have to be a menorah. Don't sit back. Chabad stands for shedding the light, being a menorah, source of light, beacon of light to the rest of the world. Don't sit back and wait for them to come to you. Come to them. You never know. They might be waiting for attention. They're desperate for attention, probably. Girls. I did with the boys. You should do it with the girls. I wouldn't suggest you go up to the boys in the street and invite them. That I wouldn't suggest. Although they might be very happy to do that. To acknowledge, to acquiesce to your request, which is the whole reason why you shouldn't do it. But it was amazing, way beyond what I expected. You never know when you can hit someone. You never know. You just never know. I'm telling you, it was so amazing. I told him my other story. I'll share another story with you, personal story. I used to go on Mitzvayim, slacking a little off now and there, Fridays. Every Friday. How did it start? It started from an oil change. Are you interested in my stories, by the way?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because
This is different Friday.
I'm too tired to teach. I'm really tired today. I had about 3 hours sleep last night. I'm really tired. So forgive me for not learning too much. Well, I prepared a whole sikha here.
You
We'll
learn
get
so
there.
much from stories, though. It's a different kind of learning.
Okay, so I'll tell you another story. It's a personal thing that happened, and it's unbelievable. I've told the story probably more than once. You get old, you forget. I'll tell it again. Worst comes to worst, someone here didn't hear it. So the story goes, I'm going for an oil change, not for any mitzvah, because I'm spoiled, married already many years. I'm not a bachman anymore. I'm a bachman going these things. I don't know. It was a winter Friday, a short Friday, and I'm not in the mood to go ask people putting on film. I'm going for the car, an oil change. But I happen to have my towels and film with me in the car. So I just take it with me just in case, And I say to myself, no. It's late. You don't have time for this. That's the gates of Hara. The other side of me says, wait a second, how much time? Come on. You never know what you can do. Back and forth until finally I won. I mean, the HTA won. And I asked this guy, are you Jewish? You got out of practice already. Asking if you're Jewish was not fun anymore, as it used to be in my old days. Yeah, I'm Jewish, Russian accent. I'm Jewish. So I said, yeah, you want to put on film? What's that? He never put on film before in his life. Well, he doesn't know what he Russian know what phylacteries are. I don't know what
Americans don't know what phylacteries are.
Exactly. So what you expect a Russian to know? How do you say in Russian film? Anyone know? No one knows. Oh, how about you? Huh? Tefillin. Yeah. Yeah. Without tefillin. Anyways, he had no idea what it is. I made sure he was Jewish. I found out his mother was Jewish, and I put on film with him. Then he says, go to Boris. Boris is the manager of sales. He really, sir?
No, it's just a classic Russian name, yeah.
Yeah,
A
Boris.
Russian guy in my school with a name.
Yes. Ivan, Boris. So I go to Boris, who's in the middle of a meeting. But as a chutzpah, I got into the Lubavitch style, you don't care about meetings. And I went over to Boris. Is Boris here? Yeah. I'd like to put on film with you. Whoa. All of a sudden, he stops whatever he's doing. I have to do more important things now. He stops, pulls me into the room like a rag doll, pulls me into a room with a big guy, and I'm not too big, pulls me in and rolls up his hand. I go, okay, easy customer. And I go, starts crying like a baby. What's going on over here? So he says, I have trouble, my marriage, such trouble with my marriage. Oh, my wife is a witch. I don't know what kind of guy he is, but she's terrible and going to court and there's such, and he tells my children that I am bad. That part is not very, he's right for that. You don't mix children into this, into, messy marriages. I used to be not religious, but I used to be somewhat traditional. I put out children, then I stopped Shabbos, stopped everything. And then I felt after I stopped, God was punishing me with his bad wife. And this morning I say, God, if it's true that you are here, show me a sign. And you came. So after I finished with him, Paul is still crying his heart out. He says, thank you so much. Thank you. Gives me a shake, almost struck my hand off. And then he gives me $100. I have a strong arm, by the way. But this guy's stronger. I don't look strong, but I'm pretty strong arm. Runs in the family. Greenberg's have very strong hands. So he gives me $100. I said, we don't take it. You take it. I don't give you, take it, give it to your school. I gave it to my school. I keep it myself. I was teaching in Seagate. The next week I came and come again. This time he said, not only me, he brought a whole bunch of people. We had almost 1 million putting on film. The Glenn was saying, the rabbi's here, the synagogue is open. In the middle of nowhere, everything stopped. And almost every week I had between 5 and 10 people putting on film, going online. Still have a connection with some of them. This goes back 2008, 2007, a long time ago. Then, all of a sudden I see that the guy is not going without a yarmulke. He's wearing a cap. Then he asks he wants to put a mezuzah on his door. And he tells, if you touch, I bought a mezuzah for him. Expensive one. You don't want the cheap one. If you touch this, I will kill you. I will kill you. You hear? I kill everybody who touches this. This is holy. Okay. Boy, Rabbi, you made the guy into a murderer. He's vicious. He was, And then, not long after, he tells me he wants to buy a pair of film. And he wants the expensive one, not the $1,000 pair of film. He asked for a Benetton, he asked for rations. Okay. Then he had his house kashered by a family called Lubavitch. Shaltiel Lubavitch. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's the one who does kashering houses. Kashered his home. He has now, and then he started growing a beard. And a yarmulke. No hat anymore. Yarmulke. Defiance. And guess what? Rabbi, now I have no problem with the finally closure with divorce finished. I need now to find a new wife. I'm 40. I want nobody older than 28. I said, good luck. 28. Yeah. This guy is not easy guy to get along with. Okay, I hope I'll give you my blessing. Give me bracha. Give me my blessing. If we get married to someone who's 28, okay. I'm laughing at myself. Yeah, sure. Then this is about a few weeks before Pesach. I go to Buffalo during Pesach. I come back. Missed a few weeks. Then I come back. Rabbi, wish me Mazel Tov. Really? To young lady, 28. She's divorced, but 28 years old. I'm not chosen. Mazel Tov. We already have a date for our chassan. We have a date for our marriage. Really? And he gives me a date. We're in the whole yeshiva was invited. I have a relative who's a phenomenal dancer. The guy is an acrobatic dancer. He and brought one of his friends who are mamish incredible dancers who came to the wedding. I was invited to read the Rebbe's letter at the last moment. I didn't even know he wanted to read the Rebbe's letter. No. I should have brought a letter with me. Read the Rebbe's letter, he says. And the letter was not there, by the way. And I read the Rebbe's letter by heart. It's not by heart. I remember it by heart, so I read it by heart. I happened to actually say Yechia the name also. He wanted it. There were a few people who were very much against it. They started making a ruckus. Don't keep quiet. Rabbi, whatever rabbi does is holy. Okay, fine. We danced and we didn't eat a thing. We ate nothing. We're busy dancing the whole wedding. with this incredible acrobatic dancer. Was talk of town. He said, you would talk of town. Everyone was talking about this. How you come just to make happy Chosin Kala. Anyways, as a result of this, I had a connection with a store next door to this store. And that led me to connect to a whole bunch of ladies, Jewish women, not religious, who started lighting Shabbos candles. And this list goes on and on and on and on, the domino effect that one visit had. When I said to myself, should I do it? Should I not do it? Okay, that one little okay changed the life. He has 4 kids now. He settled down and he lives in Arizona. He has 4 or 5 children right now from his new wife, happily married. Although I was scared, he won't be happily married because he's a tough guy to live with. He actually came to my house a few times, Sukkot. He actually came to Buffalo when I was there, met me in Buffalo several years ago. And every year he gives me a call and makes up his own gematrias. How this year must be the year of Mashiach coming. He's into that now. I mean, he once learned, I think he once learned in a yeshiva and dropped everything. And now, where would he be? Where would he be right now if not for that? Think about that. Think about, the story with Ruth and Orpah. Almost doesn't count. Orpah almost, but didn't. And what happened to her? You know what happened to her that night? She was involved with about 100 different people. It was like a orgy with her. And guess who her descendant is? Goliath. So almost doesn't count. You get close, and then you have a Hitler for a grandson or a son. Goliath was a horrible, horrible, evil person, giant. And David HaMelech is a descendant of Ruth. Look at the contrast between when you have a question in your mind, should I make this choice? Especially when it doesn't seem like you want to, probably it's very, very important to do so. Yitzhak tries to stop when he knows it's vital, doesn't want it to happen. So that's usually a sign that it's mamish min hashamayim. Go for it. Just go for it. See, I'm Yiddish aftalachas. Anyone have any questions? Or want to share with me anything? Any stories? Anything? Nicole, Millie? Millie?
My mom had a question. She wanted me to ask her about. I just remember the question. Oh yeah. If it's off topic, is that okay?
Yeah, there's no topic today. You can't go off topic because there's no topic.
Okay. Also, because I'm actually genuinely curious, and I don't know the actual answer, but I grew up in like the Christian yeshiva basically my whole life. And I was taught my whole life, you can't learn Kabbalah unless you're a man and you're 40 years old or older. And then my mom approached me recently and she's like, you're learning Kabbalah all day, you're learning this, what's going on? Like, why are they taught that?
Why are they taught that?
Why are they taught that? Because this is not something.
They don't know what Chassidus is. That's why.
Because they don't
They
understand.
have no understanding. No, they just don't know what it is. Although today, people are plenty, I know from Chassidim from Satmar, who are angry at their parents. Why did you deprive of us? We're so close to Crown Heights. It's one little, and we could have been at the Rebbe's from Brengen, and you stopped us. You said, don't you dare. And they're angry at their parents now. It's just a lack of knowledge and awareness of what's there. They have no idea, though, at least in those days. Today, it's hard not to know because everything is open. It's an open world. But in those days, it was closed. It was possible never to enjoy the sikha of the Rebbe. It's like fresh water, cold water on a very hot day. It's refreshing. It's not Kabbalah. Rebbe sikhas are down to earth. Tanya and even the Memorim are explained. Kabbalah means when you take things straight, like taking mashka, vodka straight without mixing it. That could do harm. Chassidus explains, clarifies all these terms in Kabbalah, so it's not Kabbalah.
Yeah, Chassidus is like watered down.
I wouldn't say that.
Not watered down, but like.
Because watered down sounds like you lose on the contrary. Chassidus actually is deeper than Kabbalah because it hits to the essence where you can take Kabbalah and make it understandable. You got to go beyond esoteric to make something that's so heavenly, earthly. That was the Alter Rebbe's Kiddush, to do that. Others didn't have that same view.
Kabbalah on its own is something that you can only learn once you're 40.
Yeah, that's, I wouldn't advise even if you're 40 to go into it unless you really have someone who's teaching you, because you really can get wrong ideas from it. Now everything's explained. Now, yeah, people. Any questions? Welcome. Any other questions? No? Rachel? You never have questions. Baya? Two noisiest students in the class. Fine. Rotem,
Yeah.
what do you want to ask? I can see you want to ask something. It's time to ask anything you want.
Why you
No
not-
subject.
Why are you not on Spotify?
What?
Why are you not on Spotify?
Why? What?
Why are you not doing podcasts? Yeah, you're gonna make a podcast.
Oh, podcast.
Yeah.
I like informality is my, I hate being formal.
Like,
I'm not formal, I'm very informal, very cozy. I don't like to,
That story is worth recording.
which one? Or the one with
What
the,
you just told.
I'll tell you another story. Oh, I have another story. to tell you.
Yes.
Another one.
Let's
When I was in
go.
Florida, it ends on a sad note, but I'll tell you the story anyways. I don't know if you've heard of the name Reuben Pollack. Here's the story. It's an unbelievable story. Every Friday afternoon we go on the Tzayim, which means we just have a fill and stand at Flamingo Park. You know what Flamingo Park is? No. Section not far from the Sivan, Miami Beach. Have a fill and stand. I'm calling a lot of people. I was very, I went over to a guy, I'll tell you this, before I get to the real story, I'll tell you this little joke here. Not a joke, actually happened. I went over to a guy, Shalom Aleichem, I hug him, embrace him. How are you? I haven't seen you in years. Yanko. I never saw before, by the way. So he's looking at me, like, where do I know you? But he's embarrassed. I'm embracing him, so he's embarrassed to admit that he doesn't know me. Because I know him so well, how could you not know? So he's like, yeah, well, he's confused. I see he's confused. So I have my phone with me. I put up I'm very happy with his arm, put on the phone with him. I'm so happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you. It's so good to see you. Then after you already finished with Shema, where do you know me from? I said, from Har Sinai. We were together standing. But it was too late already, you had to put on film. Anyways, one of these type of film experiences, a 6'6" this way, and about this big that way, like a teenager, comes over, and he's not dressed well at all. He's pretty close to Adam Marisha before the vet. Guy's wearing almost nothing, just shorts. There, completely. Hi, how you doing? I thought he didn't look Jewish. I said, I'm holding his film, I should throw the film. What's that? And he grabs the film. And my friend was there also, one of my colleagues. And he said, are you Jewish? Yeah, I'm Jewish. Yeah, sure. What's your name? Robert, Ruvain. Oh. And what's your mother? Mother is Chana, or something like that. I don't remember what she said. So, want to put on? He shouts, yeah. And he gives a Shabbat film and walks away. Next Friday, same guy comes again. And he says, why not? Can I try, Mom? Oh, no. So, yeah, we'll put him, no, I'll do it myself. Okay, goes. I try to straighten him out. We're shaking, scared. The guy, who knows what we'll do, he might steal it. And then he looks, why say anything? I said, yeah, repeat. Baruch? There's a blessing. And he's kind of laughing a little bit, and then not as bad as last week, got a little better. The third week, this time, tell me what does it mean? What does it mean? What am I saying? So we explained to him. That's interesting. Suddenly he wasn't the same person as he was last week. Little by little, he came to the yeshiva. He was taught olive base. Didn't have a great head. He was more into, into other things. Blocking his brain into, but he finally month of the holidays. Daven, started learning Chumash, Quran. We sent him to Hadar Torah. We found out in a course of about 6 months, he already was learning Gemara. And to make fast forward, 2 years down the road, maybe more than 2 years, 3 years down the road, he already got married and was teaching Gemara for 11th grade for third year, Mesivta, third year, teaching Gemara, Rashi, and Tosfos. This guy, full beard, couldn't tell it all. Not only that, he was Makar of someone who did not know he was Jewish. And this guy was Makar of that guy, and that guy was Makar of another guy. I don't know how far it went.
How does that work?
What? Bring close to Yiddish guy. Bring close. Sorry, Karov means relative close. Makar means to bring someone close. His name was Reuven Pollock. Lived in Massachusetts many years and was a well-known Magid Shiur, a teacher of giving Shiurim in Gemara, advanced study for FFB boys, who are the biggest students, of course. Unfortunately, got very sick and passed on. Passed away, I don't remember what year it was. This probably, the story happened in the 70s. It was around 1920 or something, so I think he passed away in the early 2000s. I'm not sure exactly when. That's the sad part. Special neshama. But this is the guy who was told off by someone. I don't want to mention names. Which group that you don't put tefillin on people that are not religious because you don't have clean thoughts. So he says, "Really? You know what I was?" So I showed him a picture. This is me 5 years ago. Yeah, I had nothing to say. Nice with the soccer guy who's very much against this idea of kiruv, the whole bunch of goyim, or shkotzim, you don't deal with them. And then his son went off the Yiddish guy, and the Babbage brought him back. And he wanted to thank the Rebbe. Thank you for bringing back my child. The Rebbe said, for me, every Jew is my child, not just these are my children. We can go on and on and on and on. Forever and ever. I have a whole bunch of stories to tell, but to leave it for next year. Anyways, it was a pleasure, really a pleasure. I really cherish all of you. You're a great bunch, a great group, better than any group I've had until now. And not that they.
I feel like you say that to every group.
No, I don't. I really don't. I've never said that. I have never said that before, and I'm honest. I know, and they're all good groups, by the way. But this group of really, you know, you have to. It's easier for me to teach when there's a little feedback. But when the phone, you know, it's hard. I'd rather you sleep almost than being awake and being involved in something else. But I have to say that this is a great class. You all have a very bright future. You're different, but that's what's beautiful about a symphony. Everyone has their qualities, their talents. Some of you are very, very, talented. Certain, I can see it. You can see it's noticeable. I don't know you that well. From one week, an hour and 10 minutes a week, or a little more than that a week doesn't get hard. Come over for a Shabbos, get to know you a little better. By the way, I'm interviewing. I don't know how I got into this thing, and my goal was driving me crazy, and I don't think I'm good for this. Trying to make shidduchim a month for Baal Teshuvos. So if you're interested in being interviewed, and although I haven't done anything yet, I've not been successful at all yet. It's still early. I have to get a whole group of boys. I've met 2 boys, and I met a bunch of girls, not too many. But I'm involved. In fact, I have a meeting with another shotgun lady here in Crown Heights tomorrow to see how we can explore this. So, and if anyone is interested in becoming interested, you know who to go to. And time. Getting close, huh?
She already found her shit up. She doesn't really need your help anymore. with
Getting
that
close
one.
to the real big day. And
In a week. week from now, you're not gonna be able to talk to him.
There's a lot, he says a lot of good things. I'm very excited. I'm sure you're also. He picked a very, very good cousin, and you should have a lot of, real citizen nachas in your house, to build a beautiful home, a home to make everyone who walks into the home feel like they're welcome, comfortable, open house. I don't know if you want that. Huh? An open house, a warm house, a beautiful home where people can just feel like it's theirs. The light be a menorah, a beacon of light to so many other people that are looking for the truth. Written by you.
What?
Written by you and by all of you.
What is the book?
You're not, I would imagine this is your last year here, right? Okay.
This is a good place to go.